That's me. Sorry about the haircut. So let's introduce Talal Yassine. I was born in Lebanon, and my family came as refugees in 1977 as part of the Lebanese diaspora. We had a concession under the Act, which basically means we're called immigrants, but really we were refugees. So I was born in Lebanon in 72, but we came to Australia in 77 to this gorgeous heaven that was so different to where we came from. So I'm produced in Lebanon, fully assembled in Australia. And so whilst I have a cultural heritage for Lebanon, I didn't go to a day of school in any other country, in any other place. Australia is all I have known. We came to Australia and we came to Auburn, first house. Then we moved to Guildford, then we moved to Parramatta, which makes me a local. I went to Granville Boys High School. Now, anybody live in the area? Who lives in the local Western Sydney area? Hands up. Who lives North Shore? Southern suburbs? New Zealand? Eastern suburbs? Okay, cool. So a majority live in Western Sydney. So you'd know that Granville Boys is not exactly the leading school in its state or country. In fact, it's a very rough school. And I went to Granville South Public School, which is on Woodville Road, on the corner of Oxford Street and Woodville Road. And I know that because I was a former taxi driver. So I come from a family of 8. I'm the eldest. And we still live majority of us still live in Western Sydney. And when I was growing up in Guildford, what I wanted to do was be a lawyer. That was my dream. I don't know why I had that dream. I still can't explain today. I probably watched LA Law, which is for those not 50 years old will know that's Suits. That's the equivalent of Suits. And decided I want to be a lawyer. Know what a lawyer did, what they didn't do, how they did it, or why they did it. But I wanted to be a lawyer. For my parents, it was maybe going home, coming back home with clean hands is the way they put it. So I don't work with my hands. I wasn't a mechanic. I wasn't a plumber. I wasn't a tiler. I worked in an office. But in an office could mean anything. I could be a professor or I could be a real estate agent with a badge with my name on it. You know, the real estate agents. For my parents, that was all they understood. And to this day, they really don't know what I do. They really don't know what I do. But they knew the value of education. So they educated out of us to the level of university. Everybody's got a degree in our family, 6 boys and 2 girls. And it was this wonderful country, this wonderful place, Western Sydney, that helped us create, using the ticket of education and social lubrication to climb and to be involved in business, politics, law, medicine, education, and the list goes on. So my sister is deputy next door in Parramatta High. You know, there's a school here in one of the buildings, I think two buildings down. And so we very much live and work in Western Sydney. So throughout my university career, I worked as a taxi driver, a real estate agent, a flower courier delivery person, rubbish collector. You know the rubbish bins that come in the middle of the night, they've got that machine that comes now. Well, in my time, you actually had 2 guys, and there were always 2 guys running along the side of the truck, and they pick up the bin and they throw it in. That was what I did. It's the best paid job I ever had, actually. 3 hours work on a Sunday morning. Still, 20 years ago, they paid enormous amount of money for it. People laugh at that, but I say that to point out that there's no shame in work. You know, there's no shame in work. You can do whatever, and I'll be very proud to go back and work. Something goes wrong, to work as a taxi driver. Now, from there, I went to university, and I discovered a brand new world. My world in Guildford, in Granville Boys, which at this day still looks like a prison. It actually looks like a prison. And I went to Sydney University. It's like, wow, this is the way the other half live. It was amazing. I discovered the world, and I discovered politics, and I discovered the middle class. I discovered the corporate sector. I discovered people who didn't have to have 3 jobs to survive. I discovered people looked very different to me, but were like closely related. Their souls, they were either alternate hip lefties, right? That walked around with no shoes, and lived in Glebe, only to discover their parents owned the biggest businesses in the country and they were rebelling, right through to migrants from Lebanon, Syria, Egypt, Africa, Somalia, who were just trying to make it, right through to Asian students who never spoke to us because they were so scared. That's not the way it is, because we intimidated them. I discovered the world as it is. And university to me was such a beautiful environment. I then got into politics, business, and law. And I'm not going to spend this whole time going through my my bibliography, but it's the fact that I started from here and I'm still of here. And one of my main mantras is don't let the suit fool you, because everything's possible in this country, in Australia. Everything's possible. The only fear you have is fear itself, and most people self-select out. Most people in their mind say, I can't, I'm doing an MBA here. Who's doing an MBA at Western Sydney University now? Is this an MBA class? Where's all your hands? You're not doing an MBA?
Nope.
What are you doing here?
Master of Project Management.
Okay, good. So the point I'm trying to make, I thought you were saying I just came here, I was a taxi driver. The point I make is that you are in the top 0.01% in this country. I don't care if you go home today to a caravan and put your bed and just I don't care if you go to a mansion in Vaucluse. You're in the top 1%. It is gratitude you should show, which I did, because it is an amazing ticket. A master's in project management, a master's in MBA, and it was an amazing ticket for me. In fact, I went to Sydney University, then Macquarie University, Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Law. Then somehow, because I got a chip on my shoulder, I went and did a Master's of Law, which I didn't need, because I was never going to become an academic. And then I worked out that I went to Deakin to do an MBA. And the MBA, or courses like that, really gave me a ticket to understanding business and everything I could do. But along the road, to my family, they were my friends, they were my people, and there was motivation. So that's what I want to tell you. And in question and answer, I'd love to answer any questions you have. But I wanted to give you that background. So I could be any one of you here today. And in fact, you guys seem to have gotten the idea of what it is to be doing on a Friday night, having a lecture series. That's motivation. People will show up. As Bill Clinton says, the world is run by people who show up and hang on. And you clearly are people who show up. One of the main driving factors that threads through everything I've done is that of Nietzsche's famous. Now, Nietzsche's famous is a very, very famous thinker. He who has a why to live can be almost any how. It's said in different ways because it's translated. But basically, if you have a why, you have a driving true north. You know you want to go in that direction. You can sustain almost any how. If you know you want to, I don't know, build a company in nanotechnology that helps disabled people, this is your vision and your mission. If that is your why, because one of your family members, your brothers, your sisters, something happened, if that is your why, then if you pursue that doggedly over a period of time and not give up and take different ways and look at it objectively and bit at a time, you can achieve it. But if you don't have a why, if you don't have a B, start at A and don't have a B, then any way you go, you are lost, because you can never win. What does success look like? If I don't have a general direction, now, general direction doesn't mean I want to think like I want to be a millionaire and I want to do this, and that's your definition, because that's a mechanism. It's a true purpose, a true calling. Now, don't get me wrong, everybody has to eat, everybody has to pay their mortgage, everybody has to maintain their family. That's not what we're talking. We're talking about true happiness and contentment. And those who are truly happy and content, whether they're rich, they're poor, they're Western Sydney, they run a chicken shop or they run BHP, when you meet people, you know they're contented or not. You know their soul, the way they talk to you, the way they engage with you. And I will strongly encourage you to search for your why and let it take time. And let it be a multiple of things. And let it be inconsistent and incoherent. It's not like it's a true vision and you say, and all of a sudden lightning strikes you and you know it's a build-up over a period of time. And testing and talking to people and asking everybody under the sun. I have this general knowledge, I want it to be this. Let me give you an example of why. If you don't have your true why, you can be very easily lost. So I wanted to be a lawyer. Anybody talking to me in a position of authority for 5 minutes when I was growing up would know I'd make a terrible lawyer. I just saw it on TV. Why? Because I didn't talk to anybody, I didn't have access to a lawyer, didn't have access to anybody I can talk to. In fact, I was the first person that got a degree in my family. In fact, when you become a lawyer, you've got to get another lawyer to admit you into court. I had nobody I could talk to be my admitter, like to say, yes, I stand next to you symbolically and you're going to be a lawyer. And the reason why someone who would spend 5 minutes with me and know that I'm a lawyer is that to be a really good lawyer, you've got to be professional depressant. You've got to be, when the cup half empty, half full, right? You've got to be cup zero. You've got to think of everything that possibly could go wrong, and that's your job, to defend against that. If you're listening to me today, I'm not one of those two. I'm a cup overflowing. Someone comes to me and says, I want to do it. Yeah, mate, go for it. Just do it. That's the type of person I am. But I didn't do my true why. My true why is how to be in the service of people with other people. How do I maintain energy by talking to people, by being helpful, by working with other people, by serving. That's how I truly maintain. And everybody serves in a particular way. But I just like that as a career. That's why I nearly went into politics, went and left law after 10 years. That's why I do what I do today. And it's about a journey to find your true why. Most people don't even ask the question. And you're 100% better off if you even just start asking the question of yourself. And it's only for yourself. It doesn't benefit anybody else. But you truly got to do that. Once you have a why, you say, okay, I've decided I want to start up an Islamic super fund and establish a vehicle that can collectivize Islamic wealth. And my legacy is going to be about providing those institutions to serve the Australian Muslim community of more than 1 million in Australia, because they don't have anybody serving them. That's my why. And activities surrounding it. And then people say to you, okay, you got a why, but now you got to be truly motivated. And a lot of the interpretation of true motivation now is hustle culture, especially for the boys. Come on, you can do it, bro. Put crypto, do this, do that, move fast, rip off people, pressure them. Like that's that hustle culture. Couldn't be further from the truth. Motivation is useless. Let me say, motivation is useless. You might say, what are you talking about? I had a whole course on motivation. All of us are motivated to do something. I'm motivated to become a gym trainer, to become a gymnast, and to be a world champion debater and be a world champion this. But motivation comes in waves. Motivation can be because of necessity. Whilst motivation is important, that I think through discipline and follow through and ritual is much more important. Because motivation, some days you'll feel, and let's just talk about studying for your MBA exam. Talk about something you're very familiar with. You're motivated sometimes. I'll get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do that assignment, study for that exam, to build myself up. But sometimes you're not motivated. So if it's only about motivation, you do it sometimes you wouldn't. And it depends how deep your motivation. Now, how many people do we know that are motivated at all? Like, you literally have to jaldi, kick him out of bed, move him along. So motivation itself is important, but much more important is discipline structure and what you do every day and who you talk to every day. Motivation is only the trigger. Once you have your why, you've got to take a step every day if possible, even one millimeter, maybe 1 inch towards your journey, and over a period of time that will build up. Very much like studying. You're studying for your exam. Yes, I'm going to get my motivation. The exam is in 3 days. I'm motivated because I'm going to fail. So I will study to get through, to just wing it and move on. I'm motivated, but is that the way to do it? No. If you know, you start every day, you do half an hour study, the good doctor's course in motivate, and you do a little bit and you build over time and you talk to somebody, and that's the way it works in the real world for achieving anything. I've never met anybody in my life except a bank robber and various other worse people who just got success by being motivated at that particular point in time, or they won the lottery. Everybody I have ever met who's been successful has been someone who has a purpose, who has the trigger to motivate and the regular training, discipline, and outlook to structurally win. Structurally win. And that is because motivation goes up and down. This one is one of my most important. If you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go with a team. Teamwork makes the dream work. You've heard that? The one thing I have found in the real world is that is one of the most difficult things to do. Everybody talks about it, but most people are terrible at it. They think they're good, but they're terrible at it. Most people in most institutions, in most groupings, have no idea about teamwork. If I ask about academics in a local school, do they work as a team? Would you say they're the best team in the world? Of course. He says we're very smart. In your workplace, wherever you are right now, whether you work at McDonald's, whether you work at Qantas, wherever you work, the biggest issues like empire building, not teamwork, going the other way. I can use a million analogies. But true success, whether it's the matriarch female of a family, whether it is the CEO of a company, whether it is the mechanic at the mechanic shop, whether it is the student leader at Western Sydney, and I'm just coming up with random stuff. Whatever group you'll know a leader. You'll know a person who attracts you to them. You'll know a person that works through you and not at you. Why do you know that? Because they make you feel good. A leader makes you feel important. A manager lets you know how important they are. A leader makes you feel important. A manager lets you know how important. Do you know who I am? Sorry, what's your name? Narimon. Go do this. I told you because I'm the boss. You understand what I mean? Or any version of that. Now, I'm exaggerating for effect here in this class, but wherever you work, you know those kind of people. You've seen them. And in fact, in some cultures, that is the way you bow your head and you say, yes, sir. No, sir. How far, sir? Okay. Now, but even in those cultures, even where it's customary to have that hierarchy, and Australia is very different, there are leaders. Leaders that work as part of teams. What do we mean by part of teams? Is that where you empower people and you give them psychological safety to achieve the task at hand if they are the right people, and you let them do their thing. You don't try and manage and control them, right? And that is really hard, really hard. And that's a skill, however, for you to achieve any kind of dream, for you to lead any kind of team, you need to become good at. Because the biggest lament when you finish your project management masters or your MBA and you go out into the real world, you'll find that people talk about leadership. They talk about, and doesn't matter, I don't care what culture you are, I don't care what structure you are, I don't care how old you are, you could be 10 or 80, leadership matters. And when you see it, you'll admire it and love it. But most of the time, it's lost for the trees. And so the message in simple terms is get really good with dealing with other people. Because companies don't do business with companies, countries don't do business with countries, institutions don't do business with institutions. People do business with people. And if you nail that, if you become a person who can work as part of a team, who can inspire and lead others through your behavior, you are in the top 1% immediately. Top 1% immediately. Think about your own behavior, whether you're truly an individualist, or you are, and what's your strong point there, or you are truly a team leader. If you think, and there's nothing wrong with it, say, listen, I don't work very well with people. I don't like people. I don't understand them, especially guys, a lot of guys. I really don't understand how different kind of people operate. And and you're a lone ranger, you would work much better with yourself. Stick to yourself. Don't try to be a leader. Don't torture yourself and other people, right? But it's very important that if you want to lead a team, you learn how to lead a team and you look at within yourself, because that will make you go far. And for me, in every part of what I've done, whether it's been as a lawyer, a politician, a businessman or business investment banker, and now as a CEO, it's the team that's built everything I've done, because I'm not a subject matter expert in any of it, to be frank. You know, either a failed lawyer, a failed politician, a reasonable investment banker, and now the CEO of an Islamic funds company, which I've don't do funds, don't do Islamic finance. I've learned that on the go because of people around me with a team. So we've got our true north and our direction. We want to create, through nanotechnology, a product that helps people with disabilities and are hard of hearing. That's my dream, let's say. Now, on the way to achieve your purpose, being disciplined and motivated and following through and building a team around you, you're always going to have pivots, changes. Try that way, doesn't work, try the other way. Doesn't work, go under. That doesn't work, go over. Try again. Open the gate, close the gate, do something else. Most people want to feel comfortable with a very clear plan as to how they achieved it. And a lot of people my age and who are like me come up and say, well, I had a very clear understanding. I did this, and I did my MBA at Yale, and then I did Harvard, and then I went to Goldman Sachs, and then I went over, and like it's like a linear line, right? And some people, very few, maybe. But in truth, the world's a lot messier than that. If they truly succeeded, if they truly won, their journey went something like this, and then collapse, and then up, and then collapse again, and then that way, and then this way. And then they looked so many times, they looked up and they said, oh my God, what the hell am I going to do here? But they didn't give up. They didn't give up, they changed lanes. Don't be afraid to change lanes, as long as you know what you want. Don't be afraid to change careers. I've had 4 of them already. I'm practicing with you my 5th one. See, you can tell me whether I'm a good professor or not. Don't be afraid to change lanes. People always remember how you made them feel in any circumstance, especially in business. What do you mean by that? Well, do you remember the auntie or uncle who, whenever you saw them, they made you feel special? Remember the person when you went to work and bought a coffee, they'd always say good morning, and they were like so much senior than you. So, and they just said good morning. They made you feel special. In the other circumstance of that lesson, if you're talking to somebody and you made them feel lesser, you undignified them, you put them down, you did something to make them, they will always remember that. And you may say, oh, I'm a ruthless hustler, man. I'm really special. I'm really good. I'm playing the game. Come back to haunt you. I guarantee you. Someone 20 years later, and I remember, for me, I'm talking about me now, I remember who made me feel like shit. I remember a guy called Hussein. I'm not going to give you his last name. 27 years ago, he said, I couldn't find a job as a lawyer. I finished university didn't know anybody, got admitted, nobody would employ me. He said, in Auburn, come, I'm just giving you an example here. This is a real life example. You can't make this shit up. Come and have, I'm busy, but come and have an interview with me on Saturday. Be outside my office at 10 o'clock. Hey, my dream opportunity. So I show up at 9 o'clock. Now, knowing me, I'm always late. I was early that day. Showed up, bought the paper, read it, waiting for 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock came, called him. I'm not in the office yet. I'm coming in. Wait there. Should be right, mate. 11 o'clock. I'm still sitting in the coffee shop across the road, having read 3 newspapers, 2 coffees, and 2 Gnefa later. I ring him. 12 o'clock. I've been waiting there for 2 hours. I'm sorry, I'm just interviewing, blah, blah, blah. Look, hold still. And these are the early days of mobiles. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, he stopped taking my calls. I ring him. I was devastated. Walked, went back home. Couldn't find a job. Had 2 degrees. Couldn't even get an internship. Was working my guts out, doing all kinds of things. Now, what did he do? He just found a young man who wanted an opportunity and just treated me like, he thought about helping me, treated me with no consequence. I still remember him till today. Ring him a few weeks later, he said, oh, sorry, I had to go, my wife called me. Couldn't you call me and tell me to leave? He devastated me. I always remember how he made me feel. I actually don't remember what he actually said. I think what he actually said to me directly. I don't actually recall what he actually did specifically, because I'd probably be more upset about it, but I remember how he made me feel. And so, if you have a difficult conversation, if you have a difficult time, careful how you treat people. If you're inclined to be harsh, stop it. If you're inclined to be unfair, don't do it, because people remember you. And if you do the opposite, if you treat everybody, and I don't mean toxic positivity and falseness, and I mean just authentically treat people well, then karma, God, the angels, whoever you so believe in, there will be a repayment. There will be a repayment. And it's happened to me so many times. And all those people who did that, something really bad happened to them by themselves. I'm not a vengeful person, right? Karma came back to bite them because they do to a lot of other people. And my point is, invest in people you know, act fairly. This doesn't sound like a very MBA kind of topic, but the truth is it is. Because whoever you deal with, I don't care what theory you have, I don't care whether you're brilliant at change management or you've got the best Gantt chart you've ever seen, the best colors and the best timings, it is people you need to deal with, and people will make you succeed or fail. People will make you succeed or fail. How you engage with others. And I strongly believe that at every level.